Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you all. Whatever time of the day you find yourself tuning in to this particular video, good day to you. My name is Jerrie'Me Wright, and I'm signing on today, Wednesday, April the 14th, 2021. And unfortunately, this particular video is actually being recorded with a heavy heart. As we know, on April the 11th of this particular year and month, a young man, a young brother of mine, not only because we share the same last name, and not only because we both have the same ethnicity, but a young brother in the sense of what we have to deal with every day of our lives as young black men in this particular country, and that is dealing with the police in our countries. No matter where we are in this particular country, no matter what state, no matter what county, we all have to deal and face the same thing. As we have heard of his killing, his execution, I would say, on April the 11th, Sunday, April the 11th, whereby that is the same day I lost my niece 21 years ago, Sunday. Therefore, I was just thinking about him and how, my niece would have turned 21 years old on April the 11th. Yet and still, Daunte Wright actually lost his life at the age of 20. Therefore, he did not see his 21st birthday, unfortunately. And as I grew up in Colombia and came to age or whatnot, one thing that I always kept in mind was not being a statistic, not being a statistic. And you have to be conscious of that, and you have to be aware of not being a statistic as a black man growing up in this country. Unfortunately, there have been definitely many of cases in our country whereby we have heard and we have seen officers, sworn officers of the law, who took oaths to protect and serve, or to serve and protect, actually not keep the oath that they took, and carried out executions in broad daylight, like it was nothing, and like they were not even dealing with humans. It's sad when you come to a place and you see that people will rather treat an animal with more dignity and respect than they will a human being. Now, Daunte Wright, I must say, he was stopped on Sunday, as we have heard or may have read. He was stopped for what, expired tags or whatnot, and it's so crazy, being stopped for some kind of expired tags or whatnot. And upon their investigation, they found out that he did have a warrant out for his arrest. And with that being said, they were actually in the process of arresting him. And in that particular process of arresting him, if you have seen the video, you would see how the officer, the male officer in that particular video, actually, was doing what it was that he needed to do to place the cuffs on Daunte Wright. When Daunte unfortunately got back in the car and began to resist arrest. And we're going to keep that point in mind. Um, and this particular officer, or deputy, who has been identified, listen to this, as a 26-year veteran. A 26-year veteran. I believe that's a great point to actually emphasize, because they are actually saying that she's a 26-year veteran. And not only is she a 26-year veteran, but she's also someone who's actually training other officers. And anyone who actually have any kind of formalized training, that training is important, no matter what the job is, no matter what it is that you're getting trained for. training is important. For myself as a minister of the gospel, I have been trained in the Word of God, and I would like to make this point in being trained in the Word of God. There's no way that I will ever, and I would say this as last month or excuse me, as next month will actually make 11 years since I have been a licensed minister of the gospel. um, in those 11 years of becoming a licensed minister of the gospel and being trained, there is a big difference in knowing the Old Testament from the New Testament. And I'm able to tell and teach others the difference between the Old Testament versus the New Testament. And with that being said, also, I'm able to distinguish the different books of the Bible, whereby I can tell you that Genesis is in the Old Testament, and I can tell you with certainty that Revelation is in the New Testament. I can tell you with certainty that Genesis is the first book of the Bible, and I can tell you with certainty that Revelation is the last book in the Bible. Therefore, in that particular training, there's no way I can mistake the Old Testament from the New Testament. Therefore, I will even like to bring out this point. If she's a 26-year veteran, and she's actually training other officers, by no means will you mistake a 9 millimeter handgun with a taser. Um, Simple fact, basically, the weight itself is going to be a big difference. But not only the weight, but whenever an officer goes to the right side of their duty belt, on that duty belt that they have, the handgun is usually on the right side. Predominantly, more people are right-handed than left. Therefore, if that firearm is on the right side of their belt, they're going to go to the right side to pick, that handgun and take it out of the holster, and vice versa with the taser. No, by no means will you mistake your taser for actual gun. Certainly, because the color, for one, the color is definitely a dead giveaway, and not only that, but the weight of that taser is different from the weight of the gun, and you will have to actually take that taser from the left side of your duty belt. Therefore, by no means um, do I believe that this particular woman, and I would love to give this woman, Kim Potter, the benefit of the doubt that she made an honest mistake. However, in December, I actually created a video about officers in this particular county that I stay in Kershaw County, how there were officers that were doing underhanded things. And this has not just started last year. This has been going on for many years, whereby, there comes a time whereby you cannot just, keep silent, and you cannot just say anything, and you cannot just hold it in, but you actually have to actually open your mouth and speak out. And for that very reason, in December, I created a video how there were officers in this particular county that have been doing underhanded things. And upon uploading that video on my YouTube page, do you not know that the next time I went to the barbershop, which was a few days later, I found out I found out this, and I'm not laughing at it, because it could have been a serious situation, but there was a brother in there that was giving his story how he was at this particular apartment complex where, he had, the police, run up on him with their weapons drawn out of their holsters and pointing it at him in the car, telling him to get out the car, and with no explanation or nothing. And this particular brother who actually did have a firearm in the car, yet and still he had a permit to carry that firearm, but they actually basically said it was mistaken identity, um, and it was just simple as that, with no explanation to why it was that they were first following him, and then two, why it was that they actually ran up on him with their weapons drawn. Now, it is my belief, being that that is apartment complex I frequent a lot, it is my belief that they perhaps thought that this particular guy was me because we have the same car as far as color and the make is concerned. Yet and still, if they thought that was me, obviously it wasn't me. But in a situation like that, you definitely have to remain calm and actually find your way out of that situation. And this is actually days, after I uploaded a video confronting and actually talking about, the police department in this particular county and the sheriff department in this particular county, because I would say that, it's important that, whenever you see injustice anywhere, I'm coming to learn more and more not to sit on the sidelines and shut up and not say anything, but to let it be known that there are underhanded things going on in this particular area. And that's what I did in December. And in that same month, this brother was sharing his story how he was confronted by these same police officers in the same county with weapons drawn out of their holster, for no particular reason whatsoever. And it's my belief that they probably thought it was me. They probably thought it was me because of the video that I did upload concerning the underhanded things that they have been doing. Nevertheless, that is beyond the point. But my dear brother Daunte Wright was just getting to a place in his life where he's actually about to come into his own and about to live a life that God intended for him to live, when he's executed by this officer, Kim Potter, a supposedly 26-year veteran on the force. Now, if you're on the force for 26 years and you're a veteran, quote unquote, then there is certain certain training that you bring to this particular job. There's certain training that you bring along with you in certain situations. And in this particular situation, it seemed as though, this whole thing was not mistake at all. And as the attorney Ben Crump stated, it was intentional, and I do believe it was deliberate, because in the video, as we see, her partner, which is on the right side of her, is actually you can actually see his taser, which is on the left side of his duty belt, where her taser is also on the left side of her duty belt. Yet and still, she went for the 9mm handgun. And given the fact, yeah, she did shoot one time, which is 6 times less than Philando Castile, officer that killed him in the same state 2 or 3 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, whereby his girlfriend did a recording on how, the officer did, shoot this man 7 times, and all he did was actually was honest with the officer, like, officer, I do have a handgun in this car, just to let you know. And that's something that he was, he didn't have to do it, but he did, with a good intentions. Yet and still, with good intentions, he lost his life. And it's heartbreaking whenever I begin to see this pattern continue to emerge, throughout our country. They actually made a movie of the shooting in California, Fruitvale Station, how this particular individual was shot. and kill. And many of these officers were not even tried. They were not even tried. And this particular officer, Kim Potter, is someone who actually was vocal throughout the whole thing. Where I'm going to tase you, I'm going to tase you, taser, taser, blase, blase. But if you ask me, this is basically something that was staged and framed to create a narrative for her to be acquitted. Yet and still, this was cold-blooded murder, and it's sad that this particular brother would not be able to see his 21st birthday. Therefore, to you, my subscribers, I ask that you will actually lift up the Wright family as they actually go through this particular grieving process in this time of bereavement for something simple as uh, uh, lights, and these incidents where brothers are losing their lives for senseless things is just heartbreaking. It's just heartbreaking. And for myself, I can admit to you, I have been pulled over many times by the police officers, and most of my criminal record are based on speeding tickets, traffic violations. And although those traffic violations that I had over the years have all been dealt with, and I showed up at every court date just based off of the principle of being stopped. And many of those tickets that I have on my record, truth be told, I shouldn't even have on my record. Yet and still, some things, some battles, you just let be. And then other battles, you cannot just sit on the sideline and say nothing and be quiet, but you have to bring some things forth to the light, and you have to speak out for that which is right, and not allow those who actually have that badge to do whatever they want to do. And it's unfortunate that, many people don't understand why it is that, brothers feel the way they do about officers, only because they do not live in our skin, and they don't understand what it is that we have to go through as black men in this particular country. Nevertheless, I would even say to my brothers that if you ever are stopped, make sure you comply, and make sure you do not give them a reason to react in any way that will cause you your life. And this is actually from a lesson that I've learned personally. God bless you all. Take care.